Are you MLG pro enough to 360 no-scope noobs? Then you've probably played COD. Today on GameSpin, let's talk about what effect Call of Duty has had on the industry we all know and love, and why this Italian plumber has a fair bit in common with this generic shooter man. Call of Duty is not everyone's cup of tea, certainly not mine, but it's undoubtable that the series is one of, if not the biggest in gaming right now. Activision rakes in millions, possibly billions on this franchise alone. This show is about the gaming industry as a whole, so how could I resist to talk about such a huge franchise in that industry? It has become clear in the past 10 or so years that games have become grittier, more realistic, and we have seen a massive boom in the amount of wartime shooters on the marketplace, such as Battlefield, Homefront, as well as Call of Duty itself. In the first episode of GameSpin, which is there by the way if you want to go watch it, I'll just be waiting here for you. Go on, do it. You back? Oh, you didn't watch it? That's cool. Well, let's carry on anyway. Like I was saying in the prior episode of GameSpin, I used an analogy to link some political thinking to the games industry, and that will be the case in this episode. While COD was by no means the first shooter game to gain success, itself taking inspiration from the Medal of Honor series as well as the earlier first-person shooters such as Doom and Quake, its amount of success as a series is one quite unprecedented in the genre. The peak game of the series sales-wise, Modern Warfare 3, sold an astounding 30.53 million copies, and that's almost as much as Mario Kart Wii. The analogy here is that in the current gaming market, everybody is striving for that middle ground, which can bring in any kind of gamer, be they extremely casual, or be it that gaming is their true passion. This is similar to the current state of politics across much of the world, but I would say particularly in Britain as well as the USA. This is known as consensus politics, and is the attempt for a party to try and centre themselves as much as possible to be a catch-all party, so that they may appeal to the largest possible audience. I think it's completely reasonable right now that you may have a few problems with this analogy. Firstly, the Republican Party has some right-wing views. That doesn't sound very centre, or very catch-all in the slightest. I would say to this that in comparison to many other countries in the world, that the spectrum for America hits its centre, the point of appealing to the masses, which is shown by the high amount of people who were either against or unsure of Obamacare health system, more to the right than usual. And when speaking of the Democrats, whereas you think they may be far more left than the Republicans, is of my opinion that they still fall into neoliberal beliefs, which are more right-wing beliefs. Equally, when applying it to the Call of Duty franchise, it is very possible to disagree with me saying that Call of Duty is a catch-all game, for the simple reason of its very high age rating, but then I'd ask you this, does the age rating actually make any difference? Every year for the past 8 years or so, I can remember virtually every boy in my year at school going crazy about the launch of the new COD game, and even a few girls as well. These people would never play any games beyond Call of Duty, and often FIFA. Despite this though, Call of Duty seems to appeal to many people who are dedicated to games, to the point in which some of these people are quite literally professional gamers, showing that Call of Duty does appeal to a large variety of people. Now let's finally move on to Mario. Possibly the most famous name in gaming, and for good reason. Mario is a huge reason that gaming still exists today. It was this launch title for the NES which was a big part of jumping into the hearts of many adults and kids alike in the 80s, and continues to do so to this day. Mario is more what you'd say would fall under the term of a catch-all game series, which is a term I've just made up, but really it's not too dislike the Call of Duty franchise. To use the example of all my friends at high school again, the ones who would go crazy over Call of Duty every single year, you know what other game system they had? The Nintendo Wii. And beyond that, they'd all played on the DS as well. And you know what games they loved on those systems? Mario games. Mario is accessible to anybody. It has simple controls that can be easily learned in the space of minutes. You may dispute this, but I would say that Call of Duty shares much of these same features. It is like Mario in its ability to gain droves of people wanting to play the game, and in its simple premise, which can be easily learned by anyone, but it's just the other side of the coin. Whereas Mario is colourful and whimsical, Call of Duty is dark and testosterone-filled. These franchises have also been the leads in truly kickstarting many games which would not have existed had it not been for these games, as they set the standard, they sold well, and thus everyone followed suit. This is why I believe that after the success of the Mario series in the 80s and 90s, we saw many platformers who wanted a piece of the pie. At the time, the platform was the centre ground for gaming. Without a doubt, that's where everyone wanted to be. And when Call of Duty set the standard similarly for the FPS genre, that's when every franchise changed itself to be more in line with it. In my opinion, there is no clearer example of this than the Resident Evil 5 and 6's changes to the formally established formula to try and put itself more in line with Call of Duty. That brings us to the end of this episode of GameSpin, and if you enjoyed it, please do share it with your friends, as well as pressing that like button. Comment what you think to this whole idea as well. I'm curious. It's a little out there, I know, but I hope that you guys enjoyed it. And if you did enjoy it and you're feeling a little generous, please subscribe. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. Bye bye.